Matt Walsh and Nick Carter are partners at Castle Island Ventures. All views expressed by them or the guests on this podcast are solely their opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Castle Island Ventures. Guests and hosts may maintain positions in the assets discussed in this podcast. You should not treat any opinion expressed by anyone on this podcast as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or follow a particular strategy, but only as an expression of their personal opinion. This podcast is for informational purposes only.
Down by bad mortgage investments, Lehman, which has 25,000 employees, will be liquidated.
The federal government loans American International Group, AIG, $85 billion.
This is a different kind of market, and the Fed is asleep.
The federal government is stepping in to stabilize Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, the two mortgage giants that have been threatened by the housing crisis.
The Bank of England has pumped £75 billion more into Britain's ailing economy with a new round of quantitative easing.
You print a couple $1 trillion, and all of a sudden, people start to worry. So out of this worry, we have something called the Bitcoin.
Welcome to On the Brink. I'm Matt Walsh.
And I'm Nick Carter.
And this episode is brought to you by Coin Metrics, and here is the Metrics Minute.
In today's Metrics Minute, we're taking a quarterly look at the digital asset ecosystem in Q2. In Q2, equities and crypto markets diverged, with Nvidia and Apple gaining 36% and 23%, while Bitcoin and ETH fell 14% and 7% respectively. Bitcoin faces some headwinds, including the German law enforcement sale of about 50,000 Bitcoins, and the impending distribution of GOX's 140,000 Bitcoins to creditors. Ahead of the Ether ETFs, 27% of ETH supply is staked, 11% in smart contracts. Exchange supply is trending down at 10%. Since March's Khanna upgrade, ETH supply has become mildly inflationary, as a shift to activity in L2s has reduced mainnet fees and burn rate. Stablecoin adjusted transfer volumes hit a record 1.2 trillion in May, led by DAI on Ethereum and USDT on Tron. That is your Metrics Minute.
Pretty impressive that Bitcoin and ETH have been holding in here this week. Well, I guess ETH is less of a factor because that's not being dumped by the German government, but GOX coins and the German government stash here is pretty sizable.
Yeah, well, people are saying that the FTX distributions are coming, and well, we don't know what FTX creditors are going to do with the coins. Is it in kind or in dollars? Is it
in dollars? Yeah, it's in dollars. So you'd have to think that some of that would flow back into the ecosystem unless people are just done.
So that's a bullish unlock. The GOX was not a bullish unlock as it transpired.
Not a bullish unlock, but it's not really done, right? I think they made some payments.
Have those even gone out yet?
Yeah, they did send some out, it looks like, to Bitcoinica, I think. Maybe a couple other venues, but they're not all out yet.
And the Germans are just trashing the market right now, relentlessly.
The Germans have had it with Bitcoin, huh? They just decided to dump all that Bitcoin.
They're not making good decisions these days, the Germans.
Energy policy and Bitcoin policy seem to be lacking in Germany.
They're getting that wrong. So next door in Brussels, apparently there's just total chaos in Brussels, from what I can tell.
Yeah, so from Twitter, it looks like crypto people are just getting jumped at this conference. Is that what it is? People are just getting beat up in the streets?
Have crypto people tried to be less muggable, is my question. Like, I feel like they make themselves very easy targets.
Yeah, maybe that's some of it. You got to be aware, no matter where you are. If you're at one of these conferences, you got to be aware. You can't be walking around just unaware of your situation. You will get jumped.
Yeah, maybe just don't wear the Solana t-shirt and the Ledger on a necklace around your neck and the AP watch on your wrist.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
No. Don't travel in packs too. Stay together.
I mean, I didn't realize Belgium was so dangerous, actually. But every conference this year, there's been some kind of crisis, it seems.
Oh, did the Texas one have a crisis?
Well, there were a lot of storms and all the flights were canceled. That one wasn't. That was kind of a very mild crisis. Dubai was underwater.
Right. Yeah.
Apparently, there was a lot of rain in Brussels. I don't know. Maybe God is telling us to not do any more crypto conferences.
There are just so many conferences this fall. It's just an unbelievable amount. And President Trump will be keynoting the Bitcoin 2024 conference, it seems.
He will. I mean, that is kind of pretty remarkable, actually. I mean, imagine 10 years ago, thinking, hey, recently former president is going to come in and keynote a Bitcoin conference. Like, that's a little nuts.
It is crazy to think about. Just the fact that this industry is now at center stage in terms of the political discourse is just fascinating.
Yeah, we have more on that. Just breaking today, the attempted override of Biden's veto of the SAB 121 overturn was defeated in the House.
Yes, I don't think we thought that this was going to pass since so many Democrats in the House were against it. But they had to put this up for a vote. Constitutionally, once the president vetoes something, it needs to go back for the formal vote. So I think the votes were not surprising. You did have some flip-flopping on the Democrat side of the aisle. So you had some folks that voted to repeal initially and then changed their mind and hopped in line with Biden and Warren, including Dean Phillips, which I thought was interesting because Dean Phillips, of course, ran against Biden in the primaries, and he sided with him the second time, but not the first time here. So that was confusing. And then you had this guy, this Republican, Drew Ferguson, who initially voted to repeal SAB 121 and then voted on Biden's side the second time. And I was really scratching my head about this for the past few hours. And then he came out and announced that he accidentally voted the wrong way. So
that's incredible.
He just made the wrong vote. So I guess all is forgiven. It wasn't like it was a close vote.
So if you fat finger, I mean, do they use a button or do they raise their hands? Or how does it actually work?
I actually don't know. But Richie Torres had an accidental vote on some issue a few weeks ago. So it seems like it happens every now and then.
That seems incredible that you can get a vote wrong by mistake. Like, is there no undo technology?
You have to think that just comes down to the staffers, right? And so these guys can't be reading every single bill that comes in front of them. But hey, give me the bullet points and am I a yes or no on this?
Okay, this is my request to the audience. If you know how voting works in Congress, let us know, because I find it inconceivable that you could fat finger it and then not be able to change it like 30 seconds later. Like even Gmail has that where you can undo an email.
Yeah. No,
so
it's immutable. It's immutable.
So if this one's a little confusing because if you think about it, we're in quadruple negative territory. So first there's SAB 121, which basically prohibits the banks from touching crypto. Then there is the vote to repeal SAB 121. So that's negating the negation. Then there is the veto, so negating the negation of the negation. And there's the attempted override. So that's the quadruple negative.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, when you put it that way, I'm very confused. It should have just been, are you pro-crypto or anti-crypto? That would have been the vote.
Up or down. So status quo, still anti-crypto. Banks cannot touch crypto as of today.
No. Well, that's kind of the least of the Biden administration's challenges right now. We'll talk about that later, though. Busy podcast week, kind of in the beginning stretch here of the summer months, but we're busy on the podcast circuit. So you sat down with Leo Zhang, the founder of Alchemia, talked about Bitcoin fee exposure. Riveting topic.
Yeah, I've known Leo for forever, and Alchemia has come out with this product allowing you to go long or short Bitcoin fees. So to treat block space as a commodity, and just like any other commodity, there's people that are naturally shorted and want to long it, and the other way around. If you are an NFT provider or something and you expect that there will be a mint that skyrockets the fees, you can lock in a rate. You get exposure to that. If you're a trader, you have a view on fees. Now you can take a directional view on that. So very interesting product. And just now we published an episode with Adam Levine. You sat down with him covering Fireblocks' Global Custodian Partner Program.
Yeah, I think we've done almost 550 episodes of this podcast have not had Fireblocks on yet, which was unfortunate. But this was a great episode with Adam Levine over there, and we talked about this new product that Fireblocks has rolled out around global custody partners that are all using the Fireblocks network. So enjoyed that one too. Encourage people to check it out.
Well, plenty of news, a lot of political stuff like always. But before that, let's hop into the deals.
First one up is TradFi. This is an algorithmic crypto trading platform. They raised $3.5 million from Newform Capital, Aquanow, and others.
Next up, we have Dora, a blockchain search engine. They raised $5.5 million from Dragonfly, Lemnis Cap, Robot Ventures, and Maven 11.
Then we have Kalipa. This is a crypto payments company that raised $3 million from Fabric Ventures and Whitestar.
Then we have Satoshi Protocol. They're a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin. They raised $2 million from CMS and Rocktree Capital.
Next one is Term Finance, a DeFi protocol that raised $5.5 million from Electric Capital, Blizzard, Inception, and others.
Then we have Idle, a yield automation protocol that raised $2.4 million from Rockway, Longhash, and Gumi Cryptos.
Then it's Rome Protocol, a blockchain scaling platform. They raised $9 million from HackVC, Hashkey, Bankless, and a number of others.
Then you have IDOS, a Web3 identity platform. There is $4.5 million from Fabric, Near, and Arbitrum.
And the last one is ThirdFi. This is an AI blockchain startup. They raised $2 million from Outlier and Chainlink. So kind of a busy deal week. It sometimes slows down in the summer, but it doesn't seem like it's going to slow down here. We just have a lot of early stage activity in this market right now.
Yeah, despite the majors selling off, actually, I think deal making picked up in Q2. So on the venture side, things are still pretty robust.
All right, so let's hop into some of the political news this week. So I guess I was wrong. Biden is still the president. My prediction was that by the time we recorded this, he would not be. But I don't know. It's hard to say how this one's going to go, but can't really be pushed out if he doesn't want to leave, despite the fact that George Clooney is not on his side anymore. Do you see that story?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have George Clooney, like, where are you? You know?
Yeah, I mean, ER. What was the name of that show? ER?
He was ER.
Yeah, he was ER. I mean, yeah, if you had told me 20 years ago George Clooney would have this amount of power, I would have been a little surprised, frankly.
So the odds have been whipsawing around. I think Kamala is still currently in the lead on the prediction markets, on Poly Market.
Is she still in the lead on the Poly Market? It's been ebbing and flowing with Biden here. So I'm looking at the aggregated. Yeah, she's definitely in the lead. She's up 4% today on election betting odds, which is the aggregator.
Not entirely clear what is driving that, but it seems like every day some new revelation comes out from the press and some new senior Democrat, backs Biden to leave. So I do think the pressure here will eventually force him out.
Seems like what we're going to have if he does agree to step down or step out is some sort of an abbreviated, multiple week get to know you, debate type of thing. Is that sort of what you expect here?
Yeah, I saw some pretty wacky proposals about a blitzed primary blitz.
Yeah.
Where cultural figures, I think Taylor Swift's name was tossed around, would interview various Democrats and they would just have some sort of abbreviated voting process. I don't even know if there's voting involved. There doesn't seem to be any actual playbook here. This is kind of unprecedented.
Yeah, I think we're in uncharted territory here, but you sort of have one path, which is just anoint Kamala Harris as the next candidate, or you have some sort of an abbreviated, forum/debate. I've seen commentary and some speculation that Obama and Clinton would actually be the moderators of some sort of a debate. So it'd be interesting to see which way this goes. You could see this getting massive ratings if it goes in that direction.
So on the other side, the Republicans have officially embraced crypto as part of their core platform. That was pretty cool to see.
This is wild. I mean, so the full text of this is maybe to back up. Every 4 years, the major parties will put a PDF together of their major policy initiatives, and crypto is on the list here. So it's tucked within, I think, a financial services and innovation category. But the full text of the crypto bullet point says Republicans will end Democrats' unlawful and un-American crypto crackdown and oppose the creation of a central bank digital currency. We will defend the right to mine Bitcoin and ensure every American has the right to self-custody of their digital assets and transact free of government surveillance and control. What a wild development that crypto is now on the platform of the GOP. I mean, if you had told me that one of the major parties in the United States would actually have crypto involved in it in the 2024 election, told me that a few years ago, I would not have believed you.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with this. I mean, if you look at all the prongs, so ending the crypto crackdown, that's a little vague, but you can interpret that a bunch of different ways. That's kind of alone a very important pillar. Opposing the creation of a CBDC, I don't think we're really likely to get one anyway, but that's nice to see. Defend the right to mine Bitcoin, kind of a smaller topic, but important to people like me for sure, and it ties into notions of energy independence. And I think extends to AI. I mean, their AI is also part of the platform, a couple paragraphs down, basically depoliticizing who's allowed to purchase power. I think that's very important. And then I was really happy to see enshrining the right to self-custody digital assets, because there is a wing of the Republican Party that's skeptical of that. So that was very nice to see. And then transact free of government surveillance and control. There's not a lot else you would want to ask for. I mean, maybe something to do with tax policy, maybe something about securities laws, although that might be a bit in the weeds. Overall, I think it just hits all the right notes.
Yeah, it's just absolutely incredible.
So here is something really weird. Polychain disclosed that one of its former employees, Niraj Pant, had a mammoth side deal with Eclipse, already the subject of controversy. So they raised from Polychain, and then he had a side deal for 5% of the total token supply. And then I think he led the deal at Polychain, or pushed it through. So it looks from the outside like a kind of pay-to-play situation, certainly a conflict of interest. I think regardless of the timing of when that deal was struck and when the round was led. But anyway, he's left now. He co-founded a company called Ritual that also raised from Polychain. But I found this to be absolutely wild.
Yeah, this is a really bad story. Not sure how this was discovered or what set of circumstances led to Polychain announcing this. It seems like there's an investigative journalism aspect of this from CoinDesk, and then Polychain kind of got out in front of it. But this is really bad behavior. This is the type of thing that gives the industry a really bad look.
I mean, I think it pricks up the ears of the SEC, frankly, if you see this kind of misbehavior. And this is why, even if there aren't explicit rules about how crypto funds should behave, you should have rules and you should adhere to them, because stuff like this is a terrible look for the industry.
Yeah, I mean, this is just looks like he was being paid to get the deal done at Polychain. 5% of the network is a preposterous sum.
Yeah, that's an insane advisor share. I mean, it was, I think, later reduced to somewhere in the 1% range, but that's just not at all common. Let's say they were authentically bringing him on as an advisor, even outside of the funding. You'd be looking at basis points. You wouldn't be looking at 5%. That's crazy.
Well, you'd also be looking at having to disclose that to your employer and actually having to get sign off on that. So this is way outside the bounds.
Yeah.
Not a lot of good things we can say about that story. Pretty ugly. And crypto needs to clean itself up here.
So Uniswap Labs submitted a comment letter to the SEC, which actually cites the Loper case. I think we'll see a lot more of these. I think that case is now becoming immediately relevant. So the proposed changes to the SEC's Exchange Act would kind of bring all DeFi applications under the ambit of the SEC. And Uniswap obviously disagrees, and they are now citing the recently repealed Chevron doctrine in their letter, which is very interesting to see.
Yeah, this was super interesting to see. I mean, this Exchange Act, I think we've talked about this on the podcast in the past, but the proposed changes to the Exchange Act here are sweeping. And a lot of people are saying that this would actually wrap up messaging protocols under the definition of an exchange. And so if you're on, Bloomberg chat and you're going back and forth, is that interface the exchange, or is it a messaging protocol? It also applies to DeFi. And so some read this, proposed rule change as saying that everything in DeFi that involves the exchange of value would fall under the SEC's definitions here. So it's very broad, very sweeping. And obviously, DeFi did not exist when the Exchange Act was originally designed. So I think they have a pretty compelling case to be made here that this Loper-Bright change to the Chevron doctrine is kind of squarely what we're talking about with this type of thing, where the agency should not really have the power to broadly interpret the statute that way.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly the point. This is SCOTUS's point in repealing Chevron, is that the administrative state had far too much interpretive power and conditions of ambiguity. And it really is a bit of a dagger in the heart of the SEC. I mean, this has been their modus operandi, is exploit ambiguity to the detriment of the crypto industry. And it seems like judicially they can't do that anymore. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I think what could happen here is that the SEC could just choose to push it forward the same way they pushed the private funds rule forward, and immediately they would get sued. And then I would have to think that the courts would decide in favor of whoever is suing them. And so that happened, obviously with the private funds rule, it was pretty quickly turned around. And I guess the SEC is back to the drawing board on that one. So I don't know. How many losses do you think the SEC wants to take here? This is it's not just the crypto industry that's fighting up against this one. If you look at the comment letters on the SEC's webpage for this Exchange Act, there's tons of them.
So there's another loss of sorts for the SEC this week, just breaking today. They ended their investigation into Paxos, determining that BUSD is not a security. Effectively, they had alleged it was a security before. I think that was a pretty comical one in the first place. I believe we talked about it at the time. I didn't see any way you could possibly conceive of BUSD, and a non-interest bearing stablecoin, as a security, whether under Howey or Reeves, which is the lesser known security test. So I think in a sound and pragmatic move, they've actually ended this investigation.
Yeah, so they sent them a Wells notice, and now they're saying that they're not going to file suit. But I mean, how much money do you think Paxos spent defending this? It's crazy. You
have to feel for them because they're dealing with frivolous harassment from the SEC. And remember, these are taxpayer funds that could be spent going after actual egregious issues. And instead, they're being wasted on pretty frivolous cases. So I do feel for Paxos in this case.
I mean, in Paxos, obviously, they're a venture-backed startup, but they're of significant scale. So obviously, they can afford this. But this is the type of thing that would put a startup out of business. This is a shakedown here.
So elsewhere in litigation, the Custodia case, of course, that one has been rumbling on for a long time. There's an amicus brief filed by the Blockchain Association, co-authored by Don Verrilli, who's the former Solicitor General under Obama. So pretty notable name there. And they asserted that the Biden administration had been systematically unbanking crypto startups. They actually cited my Pirate Wires piece in that brief, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, congrats on getting cited in that. I mean, this is pretty significant development that you have someone who is senior in the Obama administration. Obviously, the Obama administration was, they put out Choke Point 1.0, so I guess they would know what they're talking about in terms of getting the banks to deplatform companies. But pretty significant, I guess, defection from the ranks there, huh?
Yeah. And it's notable that the architect of both Choke Points 1.0 and 2.0, Marty Gruenberg, remains in office. He is still in office.
Still in the seat.
He has said he would resign, hasn't resigned. Just another scandal, in my opinion. One of many.
Well, Goldsmith Romero, I think, is going through a confirmation hearing today, I think, as we speak.
Okay, so Gruenberg's reign of terror may imminently be ending here.
Yeah, and the happiest people are probably not the crypto industry people. It's probably the women that work at the SEC or at the FDIC rather, who have apparently just been living through a hellacious tenure under this Gruenberg guy. Just the culture of calamitous behavior.
Yeah, and I'd love to say that choke point 2.0 is over, but it doesn't feel that way at all. It's still hard to get banked as a crypto startup in this country, especially for any. I mean, the problem is it is possible. It's just transaction banking is very hard, and it tends to be much more expensive. So it's not impossible. It's just a significant barrier to doing business, which is completely unnecessary and probably unconstitutional.
Yeah, I think that's right. So I think that's it for the kind of the core news. Been kind of a slow crypto news week here. I think it's just all about politics at this point.
What do you think Trump is going to say at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville?
I mean, just play the hits, right? Keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your digital assets. I think that would bring the crowd down.
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy one for him. He doesn't have to say much. Just he won't attack and harass crypto like Biden has done. I think he'll be pretty popular there at the conference.
I mean, he'll have a VP choice by then, and I'd like to see Trump come out and start to float some of the names of these potential cabinet members. That would also be pretty impactful. It'd be great to know who he's thinking about for SEC.
I told them already that I would like to be the press secretary. I think that would be a fun job.
Yeah, I think that would be the worst job in the world.
I mean, I guess there have been a lot of press secretaries. Even Biden's had a couple. There seems to be a high turnover in the position. It seems pretty stressful.
Well, aren't you just you get sent out to lie every day? Is that kind of the job?
Yeah. Well, I mean, depends who your boss is, right? But yeah, I think you just get to kind of harass journalists and banter with them. I don't know. It sounds fun.
This current press secretary kind of reminds me of Baghdad Bob. Do you remember Baghdad Bob?
That was a little bit before my time, but yeah, I mean, it's tough though, because you just have to follow the established talking points that you're given. Like, I don't think you can editorialize very much.
Oh, no, yeah, it's complete. That's why it's the worst job in the world. I mean, no matter what you think, you just have to kind of say the party line, and there's just
you
way
have to be
around it.
Totally shameless and cynical.
Yeah,
and just deliver the talking points, and you just you have to be totally poker faced when you do it. It's great.
Yeah, I don't think you want that job.
So look, if any Trump potential administration campaign people are listening, I'm throwing my hat in the ring. Press secretary. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see if we get there. You said that it's a busy soccer week. I'm not participating in that.
I know. I was catching you up on the latest developments in the world of soccer. I don't think you're aware, but my team, England, I'm English originally. We made it to the final of the Euros, which is like, for the Americans listening, that's like the World Cup, but only European teams play in it. So that's pretty cool. We're normally very bad at those tournaments, so it's great. Yeah.
No real. There's no real sports happening right now. It's pretty slow before the All-Star break for baseball. Basketball's over. Some football training camp stories, but pretty slow for real sports.
The other one is the Copa America, so it's the South American version, the regional tournament, and it's very interesting. The Uruguay-Colombia game was last night. Colombia beat Uruguay, and I was watching it at a bar here in Miami. It's just tons of Colombian fans going ballistic. And at the end of that game, some of the Uruguayan players went into the stands and started fist fighting with the Colombia fans.
Really?
So
is that illegal, or is there any repercussions on that?
I don't think you're allowed to do that at all. Like throwing chairs and just fighting with the fans. It was great.
Wow.
It was bedlam. It was amazing.
It's like the Ron Artest Malice in the Palace.
So yeah, I think that's prohibited behavior. But anyway, there's a lot happening in soccer right now.
Oh, one thing we didn't cover that I want to get your take on was this meeting that I guess Khanna set up. So Khanna is a Democrat congressman. He's generally been pretty favorable on crypto topics. He organized a crypto roundtable that included Biden advisor Anita Dunn, as well as a number of crypto people, I guess. So Scaramucci was there, Brett Garlinghouse was there, looks like there was representation from Coinbase and Paxos. Mark Cuban was there. No Ryan Selkis though. Unfortunately, I would have liked to see that, but everyone kind of came out of it and said, yeah, it's a step in the right direction. Apparently Anita Dunn was surprised to hear that the SEC has been so bad, which I don't know how you can be surprised about that, but I don't know. Do you make anything of this?
Yeah, it looks like it was actually a pretty solid pull getting Anita to show up. She seems to be fairly senior within the admin and someone who has Biden's ear. So I hope this materializes into some kind of moderation of their crypto policy. I mean, they haven't shown any real indications that they intend to change anything, despite Trump having seized the initiative there. So I don't know. I mean, I guess that's not their number one priority at the moment. The number one thing is figuring out who the heck is going to be the nominee.
Yeah, I mean, talk is cheap. I think this crypto roundtable, the time for this would have been like 3 years ago. So good effort, I guess, by Khanna to probably show that he's trying, but yeah, actions speak louder than words.
So I'll give you a chance to renew your prediction here this week. Do you think Biden is in office by our next podcast?
No, I think he is in office by our next podcast, but I think he is not the nominee. And I think that position is potentially untenable. So I have a more complicated prediction. I think that he will still be the president, but at some point before the end of his term, he will not be the president.
So he's holding a news conference unscripted, which is rare for him today. So we're recording on Thursday. That's probably going to be a very significant test to see how he performs there.
Yeah, I mean, if that doesn't go well, then I think he could be fully out of office. I mean, if he has a performance similar to the debate performance, it's just hard to imagine that he could still be the president.
Apparently, he hasn't had a news conference like that since November, which is remarkable.
All right, so I think that's it for the week. We will be back next week. Everybody have a safe and healthy weekend, and we will see you on Monday.